Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. We always love getting your input, and you guys have been sending in a ton of questions lately about artificial intelligence.
AI.
Yeah, exactly. AI, and, specifically what it means for privacy on your devices.
Yeah, it's definitely
Oh.
a hot topic these days.
It is. And so we're diving into a recent article to sort of tackle this for you guys. It's called The Implications of AI-Powered Devices, Rethinking Privacy and Encryption. And, remember when we all thought end-to-end encryption
Right,
was like this?
the holy grail.
Yeah, it felt like Fort Knox,
Really great.
We thought our conversations were like locked up tight, but
Not so much anymore.
yeah, not so much.
Things have changed.
Yeah, big time.
Definitely a shift.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit. So you guys are particularly worried about these AI companions that are being baked into like everything now. The iPhone 16, the Windows Copilot PCs.
Right. Well, those are the most
Yeah.
popular examples right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is unsettling to think that this AI is, it can see what you see, hear what you hear, and know what you know.
Well, and it's not even just, what you're actively doing on the device. It's things like how fast you type, what emojis you use, even like how you tilt your phone.
Oh, wow.
All of that is data that can be collected and analyzed.
Yeah, and so we're talking about something that's like more than just client-side scanning, right? This is something
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
bigger.
We've moved beyond those targeted scans to like this continuous AI monitoring.
Okay.
And it really changes how our data is accessed and used.
Okay, so for example, in your notes you mentioned that you use Signal for messaging. So like how does this apply?
Okay, so think of encryption, like locking your front door.
Okay.
It's great for keeping most people out, but what if the thief has a key to your back door?
Oh.
That's kind of what this AI monitoring is doing. It's
Yeah.
bypassing your usual security measures.
Yeah.
Even if your messages are encrypted in transit, the AI on your device can still see what you're typing before it's encrypted.
So even Signal isn't totally safe.
Signal's still much better than, standard SMS or messaging apps that don't have any encryption.
Right.
But this device-level monitoring adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Okay, so then what about things like Apple's Media Analysis D and Microsoft's Windows Recall?
Right.
What are they doing?
Those are basically the eyes and ears of the AI. They're constantly running in the background, capturing your activity. They analyze screenshots you take.
Oh, wow.
They log every keystroke.
Key logging.
It is key logging, exactly, and record your voice inputs.
So even like a screenshot of a funny meme I want to share with a friend?
Yep. That's being analyzed.
Really?
And remember, this analysis happens before encryption, so it doesn't even matter if you're using a secure messaging app or not.
Wow, that's unsettling. So what's the AI looking for in all this data?
Well, it analyzes photos and videos for things like nudity weapons, anything deemed sensitive or politically charged. It also analyzes your text conversations in real time, looking for keywords patterns.
Oh, wow.
And it even uses environmental data, like your location and audio cues from your surroundings.
So basically, our devices are building this comprehensive profile on us.
Yeah, I mean, it's less about spying in the traditional sense and more about data collection and analysis.
Right.
The bigger question is what happens with that data, who has access to it, and how it's being used.
Okay. This is starting to feel very, Black Mirror-ish. It's like we're
Yeah.
trading our privacy for convenience. Sure, some of these AI features might be helpful.
Yeah, there's a trade-off.
But at what cost,
Exactly. That's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are we comfortable with this level of surveillance in exchange for convenience?
Yeah.
The article actually highlights a story of someone who felt completely secure using Signal on their iPhone 16, but they were totally unaware of the AI monitoring everything they did on the device itself.
Right. I remember that
Yeah.
anecdote.
It really highlights how, misplaced trust in these encrypted apps can be dangerous if we're not aware
Yeah.
of this device-level monitoring.
Right. So you're saying even if I think I'm being careful,
It's about layers of security
there's still...
and being aware of where those vulnerabilities might exist.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So thinking about your own situation and the apps that you use for sensitive communication, how do you feel about their privacy now? Are you confident? More? Yeah, it's definitely something to think about.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, honestly, it's a little scary to think that, even if I'm using an encrypted app,
Right.
it doesn't even really matter.
Well, it's not a reason to just abandon all security measures.
Right.
Think of it like wearing a seatbelt.
Okay.
It might not prevent every accident, but it significantly reduces the risk.
So more like damage control.
Exactly. It's all about layering your security. Even if AI can see your keystrokes using Signal, is still better than relying on, standard SMS or messaging apps that offer no encryption at all.
Right, that makes sense. I guess it's about being aware and making, smart choices. But it does feel like we're just kind of sleepwalking into this future where constant surveillance is just normal.
Yeah, the normalization of surveillance is probably the most concerning aspect of all this.
Yeah.
We get so used to the convenience
Right.
that we
Yeah.
don't even realize what we're giving up.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, are we just becoming complacent about our privacy? Are we willing to sacrifice it just to, make life a little bit easier?
It's a slippery slope for sure.
It is.
And that's why these conversations are so important.
Yeah.
When you buy these devices, are you inadvertently funding your own loss of freedom?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good question. It's not just about our personal lives either, right? What about like freedom of speech or political activism if every word and action is potentially being monitored?
Absolutely.
Doesn't that have like a chilling effect on free expression?
In a society where every digital whisper is scrutinized, people are going to self-censor.
Right.
They're going to be afraid to express unpopular opinions or challenge the status quo.
And you can't forget about the potential for abuse,
Right.
right? I mean, governments, corporations, this data is incredibly valuable.
It's true. This data can be used to manipulate control, even predict and preempt behavior.
Okay, so enough doom and gloom for a minute. What can we actually do to protect ourselves? It feels like we're fighting an uphill battle here.
It's not impossible, but it does require effort and awareness.
Okay.
There are steps you can take, even small ones, to mitigate the risks.
So like what? Give me something actionable.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you were interested in learning more about privacy-focused devices and operating systems.
Yes.
There are definitely alternatives out there that prioritize privacy above everything else.
Okay.
They might not have all the bells and whistles,
Right.
but they give you much greater control over your data.
What are some examples?
Well, for operating systems, there's Linux. It's open source, known for its strong security features. It does require some technical know-how,
Okay.
but there are user-friendly distributions like Ubuntu that are good for beginners.
So ditch my Mac and switch to Linux.
It depends on your comfort level and needs.
Okay.
Another option is looking into privacy-focused smartphones.
Okay.
There are a few companies out there that build phones specifically with security and privacy in mind.
Interesting.
Yeah, they often use hardened operating systems and limit data collection.
Okay, what about communication though? Like if my device is compromised, is there any way to have truly private conversations?
Well, you're already using Signal, which is a great start.
Okay.
Beyond that, you can minimize your digital footprint by not relying on these devices for sensitive communication.
So go back to the basics.
Sometimes the most secure option is the oldest, a simple phone call.
Huh. Interesting. I guess it seems counterintuitive in our, hyper-connected world.
Sometimes the simple solutions are the most effective,
True.
but it's not just about individual actions.
Hmm.
We need to demand better from the companies that make these devices. We need stronger privacy protections, more transparency about data collection, and clear guidelines for how AI is used.
Yeah, it always feels like we're playing catch-up, though.
You're right. Technological advancements often move faster than regulations and safeguards.
Yeah,
But that doesn't mean we should give up.
right.
We need to have these discussions.
Yeah.
We need informed policymaking and a collective awareness of what's at stake.
So we need to demand better from lawmakers, tech companies, and from ourselves.
Exactly.
We can't just accept this loss of privacy as like the price of progress.
We need to be proactive, not reactive.
Yeah.
We need to shape the future of technology, not let it shape us.
I like that, shaping the future of technology.
Yeah.
So to sum it all up, what are the key takeaways here? What do you want me to remember from this deep dive?
The most important thing is to be an informed and empowered user, not a passive consumer.
Right.
Do your research, understand the risks, and make conscious choices about the technology you use and the data you share.
It's not about being afraid of technology, but about taking control.
Exactly.
Okay.
And remember, this is an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
The technology is evolving, the threats are evolving, and our understanding of it all is constantly evolving as well.
So we've talked about a lot, and honestly, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Like all this AI surveillance is already everywhere. Is there anything we can really do?
I understand it's a lot to take in, but it's important not to just give up. Individual actions do make a difference. Choosing privacy-focused devices, being mindful of our digital footprint, advocating for stronger regulations, those are all steps in the right direction.
You mentioned regulations. Do you think governments are doing enough to address this?
Well, some governments are starting to take it more seriously, implementing stricter data protection laws and regulations around AI. But the problem is technology often moves faster than the law.
It does feel like we're always playing catch up. Are there any like success stories though? Any examples of pushback against this kind of surveillance that give us some hope?
There are definitely some positive signs. We're seeing more and more public awareness and activism around digital privacy, and people are demanding more transparency from these tech companies. Plus, there's a growing movement to develop privacy-focused tools and technologies.
Okay, so it's about staying informed and engaged, not just accepting this as the new normal.
Exactly. We need to keep asking the hard questions, holding companies and governments accountable, and pushing for a future where technology and privacy can coexist.
It's a fight worth having. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want me to take away from all of this? What's the message for our listeners?
Remember that your choices matter. Every time you choose a device, an app, a service, you're voting for the kind of digital world you want to live in. So choose wisely, stay informed, and never stop advocating for your privacy.
That's a great message. So, to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has been helpful and maybe even a little bit inspiring. It's clear that AI is here to stay, but the future of privacy is still being written. And you have a voice in that story. And to you, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.